You'd think so. So that's where that was. And again, it was right at the base of where the McClure Tunnel is now. And today, if you go out there, the Lowe's Hotel is located right down there at the beach. So there's a little bit of Santa Monica history for you. So let's move out. We'll talk a little bit about auto racing history. Right out here is where the first auto race in Los Angeles took place. It was 1903. As it happens, more auto racing has taken place in Southern California than any other place in the world. In terms of just sheer racing venues, 174 different official racetracks. That's not including Uncle Bob's Back 40 and Jefferson Boulevard and all that kind of stuff. No, these are officially sanctioned races of some sort. The first one took place at Agricultural Park, and obviously this is the Coliseum, the Rose Garden, and all the Science Museum things are all located over here. But here you can still make out the horse track, which was a 1-mile horse track. It was the county fairgrounds at the time. They had Fiesta Week celebrations here. And now they do all that out in Pomona. But originally it happened right here. This was a horse track. They ran the cars out there as an exhibition thing during Fiesta Week one time, or a couple of times actually. Then the horse track had to go away because the city of Los Angeles outlawed gambling within the city limits. Nobody wants to watch horses run around in circles unless you can bet on the horses, and so that didn't work out. Well, the guys who ran the horse track, they went ahead and built another track at Slauson and Central, just south of downtown, and that was the first of 4 tracks called Ascot in Los Angeles. So that was the first of them, and that happened in the mid-1900s. So 1906 is when that went away. But this is where this is the site of the first one. This shot is from the late 1920s. The Coliseum is still under construction.
That's amazing.
It is. So that's where that was located, way over there, just south of downtown. And this is back where we started. The next one that was close by us was over here, Playa del Rey.
Oh, really?
This was the Pie Pan, as it was so called. It was the Motordrome officially, Los Angeles Motordrome. It was the first wooden speedway built specifically for cars. There were several board tracks, as they became known. They were based off of bicycle velodrome designs, but the bicycles were much lighter than cars. And they ran motorcycles. There were several motorcycle motordromes, if you will. And there was even one in downtown Los Angeles. It was very popular for a long time. This was the first one built specifically for cars. They were much heavier, and they would just beat the heck out of the track. So
What year?
This was 1910 to 1913. Look at that magic. Here you go. This is a good shot of this thing under construction. It was 2x4s on edge. You can see 45 feet wide, 18-degree banking. The thinking was that you'd be able to go flat out all the way around the course. Oh, too quick. Do that one. There you go. Look at that. There you go. Under construction, these guys. The idea was you thought you'd be able to go flat out because it's banked the whole time. Well, what they didn't count on was centrifugal force, and so the cars would push up and eventually get out of control, and so you had drama with that. There's Barney Oldfield with his trademark cigar. We'll talk a little more about him. Master driver of the world, by the way. One of probably 3 favorite drivers I have from this era. I think this era is the most exciting era in auto racing because there was a lot of just absolute unknowns. Nobody knew what they were doing. The sport was brand new. It took until 1913 before they decided to use a checkered flag to signal the end of a race. They were using all different colored flags at all various times, and every race was different. At the drivers' meeting, they would tell you what our new signals are for today, and that's just how it worked. This is a program cover from the Motordrome. Thanksgiving, 1910, Turkey Night, yeah, go for it. You can see where the Motordrome is located out here, and it says, after the races, take a trip to Venice. It doesn't say, take a trip to Santa Monica. Why? Because there's nothing in Santa Monica. All the stuff, the piers, the activities, the dancing, the ships, everything was in Venice and Ocean Park because they're at sea level. It was a lot easier to do that. Santa Monica still hadn't quite developed yet. They hadn't came around. So with the Motordrome, of course, the next obvious question, where the heck was it? Well, I found this old map, and this was an old railroad map, and this was a very small thing. So this particular view is not very good for showing us a whole lot, but clearly you can see where the Motordrome was. This was a rail line, this was a rail line, and the ocean is over that way. If you went out there today, well, this is where it would be, exactly where it would be. Now the marina developed in 1960, 61 is when they first started construction of the marina. And that developed, over several years, and they're still working on it to some extent, but mostly it's done now. But this is where the Motordrome would have been physically located. The canal here was channelized before the marina took place. Culver Boulevard looks like it's dodging around the Motordrome, but actually it's just trying to make a clean line over the creek bed there. But that's exactly where the Motordrome would have been. All right?
Interesting.
Yeah, that is cool stuff. We're going to tackle a couple of myths now. If you go out to Santa Monica, Venice area, you see Speedway. And it's just essentially an alley that goes along the thing. Well, they never raced on Speedway. It doesn't go to a racetrack. Why Speedway? Well, it was established in 1903. It was finally paved in 1909. It was the first actually paved road west of Los Angeles. And what it was a big, flat, long, straight piece. It was graded and oiled. And what you could do after you took your 3-hour trip in your car over the rutted roads and whatever such as they were, the trails and whatever, to get out to the beach, you could come out and drive your fancy car at speed along Speedway. Nice, smooth road. You could get out and finally wind out your car, let it go. And that's exactly what it was. The real estate developers did that. While you're out here, hey, did you notice this nice property over here on this side? You should be thinking about buying and coming out here. Look at, and that's exactly what it was about.
How long was that again?
How long was it? It's about a 3-mile stretch.
That's an alley, though.
It's an alley now, but back then it was the first paved road west of Los Angeles.
Like an alley in Venice or somewhere?
Yep,
It looks like
it absolutely is. If you go out there today, you'll still see it, and it's always Speedway. It's not Speedway Road, Speedway Drive, Speedway. Nope, it's just Speedway. It's always been known as that. So, and it's the first paved road west of Los Angeles, which is way cool because it's still out there. The next one we want to talk about is more of a transportation thing. We hear about the red cars and the red lines and how they were all over and how wonderful they were. No, they weren't. They were all privately owned. All the property was privately owned. Moving people was very inefficient. You couldn't make any money at it. A lot of high maintenance. The cars were noisy, dusty, hot, miserable. And if you didn't live within half mile of one of the tracks, it was essentially useless to you anyway. You might as well walk to wherever you're going or get a horse, that kind of thing. So the railway lines were terribly inefficient. They never really worked in the low density area of Los Angeles. Higher density places, absolutely. So maybe in LA's future, okay, I can see that. But back then, nope. So you hear the conspiracy theories about Goodyear and Firestone, General Motors and Standard Oil, and they all got together and they colluded to chase all these out and build buses and provide them to the city and all that sort of thing. Well, no. They showed up and they had buses and they could, you need tires and all that sort of thing. So of course that's how that worked out. And they probably got together and they probably lobbied the city and whatever else. I said, but really, they were the best and most efficient way to move people around the city as spread out as Los Angeles. So it has really nothing to do with what Roger Rabbit will tell you. And you can believe that if you want, you'd just be wrong.
Electricity?
They went away for a reason. These were electric, but they were very expensive to operate. And they were all privately run. They weren't run by the government, so there was no subsidies, anything of that nature. And they all competed against one another. So it made it extremely difficult and really a bad way to move people around. They weren't originally designed to move people. They were designed to move freight, which would bring industry, which would bring people and jobs and all that sort of thing. So when all of that didn't really materialize, because again, we have no real natural resources. There's no mining, no timber, any of the traditional industries. So it just didn't work out. So there was a reason why these went away. Trains go in a straight line. A bus can go up and turn left and go down that street and go along where people are moving or people want to go to. So that's why it went away.
So some rich people just built those things and individuals and did their
Individuals.
own trains?
They sure did. Individually, well, there were a handful of large landowners, like Huntington, for one, was out here, and he built the train system that went through there in order to move freight. When he couldn't move freight any longer, that was pretty much the end of it. And moving people just didn't work. So, all right, we're going to move on to auto racing. This is Barney Oldfield making the turn at Dead Man's Curve. He's coming down Wilshire, or he's coming to Wilshire now. He just came off of Ocean going south towards Wilshire. You're going to turn left. It's a 90-degree turn. When he makes this turn, he's going to start heading uphill. And next time you're out there and you're driving up Wilshire, you'll notice, hey, yeah, going inland, makes sense. The coastline is over here, the water flows that way, okay. But you don't always notice it, especially in your car, because your car will climb that hill no problem. Well, this was from 1912, this guy, and he's heading up the hill now. Again, up the main straightaway. Notice this is the years of chain drive, wooden spokes, and hair for helmets. And he also has a select kit on the side. This is from Meyer Beer. This is one of the first instances of a car having something on the side of it to advertise a product besides the car itself. Notice it says Fiat on the hood here. This is one of those 900 cubic inch 4-cylinder monsters that could turn about 1,300 RPMs on a good day. But through gearing, these guys could get up to easily 90 to 100 miles an hour. And if you got a long enough, straight enough, smooth enough road, they could certainly do that. Well, they were a beast to handle, though. That's our buddy Barney.